Can I see by raise of hands who did that? One. Ah, there's a few. There's a few. But thank you for that. I appreciate that. So I'm going to start by doing, can everybody see my screen? I assume you can. Antoinette, is it visible?
Yes, it's visible. Thank you.
Okay. I don't want to put it in slideshow mode, and I've got a reason for that. So this morning, this is how the screen will look. So today we're focusing on Learning Unit 5, Ledger Accounts, Trial Balances, and Financial Statements. This is part 1 of this learning unit. We will have the second section on Monday evening. So let's start.
Sorry, Annelien. I apologize for interjecting. I see there's 2 hands. I don't know if it's those that studied or if it's urgent
let's just
questions.
make sure. Let's just make sure.
Oh, one is gone. Now there's just one left. Flora.
Is Flora? She's also gone, or he's gone. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Antoinette. Okay, so let's just take a few steps back and recap what we have been doing the last 3 weeks or 3 recordings. And I want you to interact with me, and let's see if you can remember what I told you. For any accounting cycle, there needs to be various processes or steps that we take. Now, can I start and get a few transactions in a accounting, in a law firm that will take place, which need to be recorded? Can I get a few ideas from the floor? Any transactions? You can just jump in and give me it. You don't need to raise your hands.
Money received.
Clients might money received, but I want to go back. You know what you had a transaction. For instance, I previously mentioned going to Makro and purchase some paper. That's a transaction that needs to take place. Let's go to the very basics.
Paying rent and electricity bills.
Yes, paying rent. Buying stationery. What else would you need in a law firm?
Paying telephone.
Paying off service.
Telephone. Exactly. So that is the basic transaction. That is where we start. The accounting process starts once a transaction has taken place. Now, for those things that we mentioned, what will be the source document? Can you give me examples of source documents? For a telephone?
Cash payment journal?
No, it's even before that. It's even before that. How will we record it? What do we need?
A receipt.
An invoice.
A receipt.
An invoice.
Exactly. So we need I can almost say the papers. We need a till slip. We need an invoice from the supplier. We need a statement from the rental people, etc. So your source document is your paperwork that you will get after the transaction. And then we need to record that document in the books of first entry. And that is where that one lady said, what did you say again?
Cash payment journal.
Exactly. Cash payment journal. Give me another example.
Cash receipt journal.
Yes, cash receipt journal. And now remember, we're in an attorney's firm. So what type of cash payment and cash receipts journal will it be?
Business.
Business. Okay, so it's important for in an attorney's books that we have business transactions. So we have a business cash payments journal and a business cash receipts journal. And also then for the firm itself, the trust bank account or the trust cash receipts journal, and the trust payments journal. So always keep that in mind. So for books of first entry, we have more than one set of documents or accounts in a law firm. Always remember that. Now, today we are, yes, Virginia? Unmute yourself, Virginia.
Oh, yes. Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
I just want to find out, where does the fees journal in the attorney's business come in?
That's also, I agree with you, and I'll take you through that on the next steps. We've got fees journal, and we've got general journal, but I'll get to that as we proceed with today's class. You're 100% correct. Okay.
Thank you.
So today, no, it's a pleasure. Today we are working on the ledger accounts. So the entries from the books of first entry are then posted to the general ledger, the trust creditors ledger, and the debtors ledger. So today we are focusing on the ledger accounts. Now the next step, and I hope you can remember this. What did I say about the scale? Raise your hands, otherwise it's just going to be too much of our voices. Who can remember what I said last time?
It must always balance.
It must always balance. It must be equal, not one side up, one side down. So how will we do that in accounting? Mona Claire?
Assets must equals owner's equity plus liability.
Exactly. Remember we often ask that in an assignment or an exam. Assets equal equity and liability. So if assets is on this side, it must equal that side. So if we have 2,000 assets, we must have 2,000 on that side. The same with debits and credits. If we debit an account with 3,000, we need to credit an account with 3,000. It can be two accounts. It can be more than, so for instance, VAT control account and income account, but the totals must be equal. And the same with the T account, as I've shown you last time. We've got debit and credit. So if you have a T account, whatever you put on the one side, like 5,000 in the bank, there needs to be 5,000, say, for instance, in the drawings account, or 5,000 credit in the capital account, whatever. We must always make sure that it balances, that it's equal. It doesn't tip to one side. Is that clear to everybody?
Yes.
Yes.
Good. Just always keep this in mind when you do accounting entries. Now, we've already talked about this. We had the business cash payments journal and the trust cash payments journal. Then we have business cash payments journal and trust cash payments journal. These now are the types of journals that we get in a lawyer's firm. So when the question, for instance, asks you for different types of journals, you can remember these ones. Then you've got the fees journal, where we capture the fees that we issued to the customers. I can almost say to the, what's the word that I'm looking for? The clients. So we capture the fees in there. So they, we did some work for them, and we will capture that, and we will. Can you think about the entry? What will be debit? What will be credit? Can I get feedback? In a fees journal. Think about it.
Debited?
No, bank. It's not bank. We haven't received the cash yet. We're just capturing the transaction, the fee itself.
Oh.
Will it be
Tanya?
client control?
What will be?
Yes.
Client control.
Client's control, yes. So your client account will be debited because the client will owe us that money. It will be an asset for the firm. And always income, the fees received will be a credit. Okay. Will you remember that? It's not a bank account as yet. The client has not paid us as yet. We're just capturing the sale almost, or the transaction, the fee, on the account of the customer. Debit the customer or the control account and credit the income. And then we have the general journals. So this is for transactions that's not captured in either of these 5 other journals. For instance, we will capture things like depreciation, accumulated depreciation, interest received, or everything else that's not form part of these. Even if you have purchased some computer equipment on credit and you haven't paid cash for it, then we will say debit equipment, credit your accounts payable. Okay, are there any questions on these types of journals so that you know what goes in where? I think we need to sort that out. Tanya? Is it an old ad? Virginia?
Yes, thank you. I would appreciate if you go a little bit back around the client's control and fees.
This one.
Yes.
This one. Okay, I'll do so. Sinique?
Yes.
Yes.
I had the same question as Virginia.
Okay, let me just see if I've got a slide on that. I think I have. Let me just quickly see if I can find something. I think there we've got it. So this is a fees journal. So what will happen here is we will capture all the transactions that we had with our clients for a month. So on the 2nd, for instance, we drew up a will for Sinatel. So we made out an invoice for this transaction. It was the total was 3,600, which is actually then a fee for us. Okay. On the 12th, we consulted and drew up a rental contract for T Zulu. We found the information on an invoice that we issued to T Zulu. The amount was 4,100. On the 22nd, we completed an income tax return for H. Mpuma. We also capture it from, I'll explain the folio now to you. On the 22nd, we completed an income tax return for Mpuma. It cost him 1,700, and we captured that from the invoice that the attorney issued to those people. Okay. So at the end of the month... A quick
question. Sorry to disturb. A quick question.
Virginia, yes.
So these transactions, the payment have not been made?
No, the payment has not. We haven't received any payment on these transactions.
Okay.
Even if we did receive a payment, it doesn't matter. We still need to capture it here, and then we'll take it to the particular debtor account. So in this case, the folio number or the account number for Sinatel is D4. The debtor account number for T Zulu is D15. So we will debit these accounts. We will debit D Natal with 3,600. We will debit T Zulu on page D15 or account D15 with that amount. And again, we will debit H. Mpuma on page D9 or on account D9 with that amount. So say, for instance, Sinatel paid this invoice on the 3rd. It doesn't matter. We still have to capture these on those accounts first.
Okay.
So
sorry, ma'am, can I ask?
Yes.
You said you will record every, let's say, the service rendered doing a will and stuff on fees journal. After,
yes.
Do we have to record it on the data?
Yes. Yes. So on D4, you will record it. Remember, let's just take a step back. This is a client's control account. So it means this is the total amount of the clients we debited for the month and the total fees that we credited for the month. So this is a control account. But we need to capture each of these transactions on the individual client's accounts as well. So your client control is just to make sure at the end of the day that you've captured all your sales. I'm going to refer to, let's just rather say, you need to capture all your fees and then take it to the control account. And at the end of your day, your control account should balance your individual client accounts, the totals. As you can see here as well. Debit, client's control account with 9,400. The control account in your general ledger is B4, whereas the client's account on its own is D4. So I want you to picture something in your head. Remember, I don't know if you will remember it, but many years ago, we used to have little cards for clients or for debtors. I don't know, does anybody remember something like that? Nowadays, everything is on computer, but you will have a separate account on your computer. Let's take rental. You all pay rent. So you get your statement. You on your own get a statement from your landlord. But the landlord might have 10 flats that he's renting out. So his control account will show, let's say, 9,004 account, the landlord. But he will send invoices to all of you that rents or lease properties from him. And so you will get one for 436, your neighbor will get one for 41, and your other neighbor will get one for 17. So that is his control. He says, okay, I sent out invoices for 9,400, but each of you only get one invoice. You only know about your own rental. So can you see, this is just for his control. That's why we call it a control account. So that he knows, or in this case, the attorney, the law firm knows, I've issued fees for 9,400 and these people have to pay me for those fees. So you need to have a control account in your general ledger, and then as a separate set of information, you have to have the separate accounts for each client, so that you can't just say, okay, now I receive 9,000, now I receive 5,000. No, let's make it positive. I received 1,000 rand. From whom did I receive it? You wouldn't know if you don't show it on separate items, separate accounts. Am I getting through to you? Are you understanding what I'm saying?
Yes.
You need to see the bigger picture. The control account is for the firm itself, whereas the individual accounts will go out to the customers or the clients, and they will pay that account. And once they pay it, we will go to the, I don't know where that is. Let me see if I've got something here. I don't know if I made a slide for that. It will be like this, but it will be trust cash account, trust cash receipt. So then you will have, I think it was Sinatal. Yeah, the Sinatal pays his account. It will be debited in the bank, and we will credit his account. So again, in your cash receipts journal of the trust, you will show it separately, because that then it will go off against his individual account. Am I clear on this? Your control, keep in mind, your control accounts are for the general ledger, whereas the fees journal, we use this line by line item to debit the individual client, and then we credit fees.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yes, Sibusiso.
Yes, ma'am. I wanted to ask if, will I be incorrect if I say when I'm recording this transaction on the general channel, instead of debiting client control, I say debit sin natal and credit income fees?
You will take a longer way. Why would you do that if you can just use the totals? For instance, in an attorney's or law firm, you might have 1,000 transactions during a month. So you don't want to do it one by one. I mean, that's not possible. So we will put all the transactions in here, 1,000 of them with 1,000 dates and different folio numbers. So these ones will go to the individual accounts, and the big total will go to your ledger account.
All right, ma'am. And the other thing I wanted to ask, is client control similar to the normal business debtors control?
Yes. Yeah. Remember, this is for the trust. So we call it trust control account. In a normal business, we will call it debtors control account. It's the same thing.
Oh, all right. Thanks.
Okay. Any other questions before I proceed?
Hi, ma'am. I'm not sure if it's a stupid question, but I want to ask, Ne?
There are no stupid questions in life.
Okay. This fees journal, it's like when the client, it is the money that we bill the client before the client can pay.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Oh, all
exactly.
Right. Okay. And
so this is for all the tasks that we did during a month. So as I said, we will capture these from the invoices that we send to these people. So we'll take our list, or we take the pack of invoices, we print them out, or we get it from a little book or whatever, and we'll go through that book or list that we printed, and we will capture all these in here. So this is nothing to do with what they paid already, or are they still owe us or whatever. This is just all your fees that you invoice during the month. It will go in here. You'll get the totals, and the totals will go to your general ledger account.
Okay. In a simple way, I can just say this is an invoice, a tax invoice.
That one line is one invoice.
Okay. So it
means these are individual
peoples.
These are individual peoples.
Oh, okay. Then tell me, where do you get this B4?
This one, what? The B4. That is just this one, yeah.
Yeah.
This is just an example. Your B4 will be an asset in your general ledger account. It's just an assumption that I can also say B10 or whatever. In practice, it will be the correct number, but these are just to show that it will go to a general ledger account. Even those ones, we just put in any number there. But usually we will put generally D4 for debtor control, D15 for debtors, B for assets, or actually, I think it actually comes from bates in Afrikaans, and your fees is your income. But these are not really, I think, that big an issue, as long as we can see that your folio numbers for your clients are all the same, more or less. It's either D or C's or whatever you put in there, and these are different compared to those ones.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you very much.
Okay. Can I go back to my first slide that I had? We went from this one. So we said basically for attorney's accounts, we will have the business cash receipts, the business cash payment, the trust cash receipts, the trust cash payments, the fees journal, which I explained now, and the general journal. We'll get to more examples as I go through today's presentation. Yes?
May you give us, ma'am, examples for each journal, ma'am?
I will show you now.
Okay, thank you.
I'll show you now. Okay. So there's examples of books of first entry. Sorry, the slide is a bit small, but if you can't see, just zoom in on your side. So your business cash receipts journal. Now just think about what the name of that journal is. Business cash receipts. So those are things that's income for the business. It's not related to the trust itself. We receive from clients for services rendered, receipts from clients for payments of cost, reimbursement of costs paid by the law firm, fees charged to a correspondent or a client, and interest received. So those are business-related transactions. Then we have business cash payments, and examples like rent, we had that, telephone, water and electricity, printing cost, interest paid, bank charges. It relates to the business on its own. Then for trust cash receipts journal, amounts received on behalf of a correspondent or a client. Example of that will be if you receive money from a client and we have to put it in trust. For instance, if the client is buying property, you will have to deposit money in that trust account of the firm until that transaction or that property is registered. So that's almost like a guarantee. He puts it in our trust money so that we can keep it safe until the transaction is complete, and then we will pay the seller of that property. So your trust money is basically kept there for transactions that will occur in future. Cash received in trust, as I said, that's very similar to the top one. It can be either EFTs or cash receipts on its own, or received the receipt of money that has to be paid over to a nominated person. For instance, if we do work for an outside company, we are getting money from the clients, area accounts. We do that for them. We try and get hold of those clients. We phone them. We knock on their doors or whatever. So then we receive money from those clients, and once we have it, we will charge a fee on their transactions, and we will pay out the balance of that to the client who asked us to do that for him. So we keep the money in that account until we can pay it over to the client itself. Remember, sorry, I previously told you that you can't, as a lawyer, you're not allowed to touch the trust bank money. It needs to be kept separately. So any transactions that go in and out of that trust account are on behalf of somebody, of a client. The lawyer itself, the firm, can't touch that money because you are keeping that money in that trust account for somebody else. And always keep that in mind. Your trust cash payments journal. Now this, if you can think about it, it's trust money. We can't pay the firm's rent from that. We can't pay the telephone from that. This is trust payments, cash payments only. So if we invest money for a client, sometimes when you purchase a house and you put your deposit into that account, or the trust account, the lawyers must say, okay, it's this going to take a long time to complete the house or whatever. So we will put that in an investment for the client, and then at least the client can earn income on that. So that is why you can transfer it out of your trust account to almost like a trust investment account, so that client can earn some money on that. Just mute yourself, please. Payments to third parties, and that is what I said to you. If, for instance, now you...
At least to them a database.
LM, yeah, disturb.
Okay, I just muted for now. I'll unmute you later. Where was I now? Payment of expenses as determined by the client. So say, for instance, you're keeping the trust money for that person that wants to buy a house, but now all of a sudden he needs to pay city council for something. Otherwise, the transaction won't go through. So then you can use that money that he deposited in that trust account of yours to pay his city council account. Transfer money from the trust bank account to the business bank account, and that will happen when we have to pay out the money to the client. If there's any balance left, like I said, when you work on bad debtors or arrear accounts, you will keep on getting the money into your trust account until you have, say, 10,000 Rand, and then you might pay it over to that client. You will transfer it to your bank account, business bank account, and you will pay out that client that asked you to do that for him. So always keep in mind, if you look at the information in the question, that you need to be sure, is it a trust account? Is it a trust transaction? Or is it, just a second, or is it a business transaction? The difference, you need to find the difference, as you can't touch trust money without it being a proper trust transaction. Yes.
Yes, ma'am. I wanted to ask if, so we are not allowed to make payments or to transfer directly from the trust account to settle the client's debt. We need to transfer to the business account first, then to the person whom
yes, we usually transfer it to the business account and then we pay it from there.
Oh,
but remember, so you can't. Yes.
So the way we use transfer fee channel.
Yes. Yes.
Oh, okay.
But you can't just, say, okay, now I need money in my business. I have to purchase a new computer. I'm going to take trust money and use it for that. That is not allowed. So whatever you transfer to the business bank account needs to be in relation. It needs to go to a client. There must be a good reason for that. And remember, I don't know if some of you are in practice with the law firms. These trust monies are audited every year and they're very strict on it. So the auditors will check that you haven't used trust money for any of your business activities. And I mean, it's really a big thing out there in practice that you need to make sure that your trust money is safe and you're not using it for any of the business or the partners or whatever. That is a big no-no. Okay, then we had the fees journals. As I explained to you now, you capture all your fees that I can almost say, rendered during the month from your invoices that you issued. You capture in there day by day, and then we allocate that to the specific client as well. And then your general ledger, as I said there previously, we use that for depreciation, and I will give you more examples as we go through this today. Your depreciation, your interest on client's account, your corrections, we don't do that much, so forget about the corrections or errors. We will use it for interest received. We might use it there. Depreciation, anything that's not part or that can't fit into these other 5 journals, we usually take to a general journal. I think we should leave the questions and so for later on. As I say, I'm going through all of these, so perhaps it will become clear to you as I go through the slides. Remember, this is from last time as well, business cash receipts. And can you tell me how will you remember those top headings? You learn them off by heart. Okay, so when you open a business cash receipts journal in the exam, you have to know these are the headings. You need to have one for the date, the document number, the details, the folio number. Sundries we use for anything that is not related to a client. So if we got deposit made by a partner or winnings or a donation or whatever, it comes under sundries. Your clients control, so all the money we received from the clients. Yes?
Aren't you going to add the tax?
Yes. You can have tax columns as well. You can have a tax column as well.
I wanted to, because the last time when we, like on the exercise, we have the quiz that we have on our thing. It has a text and it asked you, it was an input text or an output text. That's why I'm asking. Should we have it or should we not have it? Or
if your question tells you that you are a registered vendor for tax, you will have to have a column for VAT as well.
Oh, okay, thank you.
So that is what's you need to look for that in the question. If it tells you, say, SA Attorneys is registered as a VAT vendor, you will have to add VAT columns in all your journals. Okay. And then we have the cash payments journal, the same. You learn those headings off by heart. Date, document, details, folio, sundries, clients control, VAT if applicable, also a column for that, and the bank total. So that is the business receipts and payments. Now we have the same for the trust cash receipts. We have the date, the document number, the details, the folio number, the sundries, what we use for things like partners deposit. No, this is the trust one. Cash receipts. I don't think there will be much in here in a trust cash receipts because most of this will come from the debtors control account. I think the only thing that might fall in there, and I might be wrong, is like interest that you received on your trust deposits. I think that might go into sundries and then the bank account. So in the trust cash receipts, most of the interest will fall under this control account. Then the payments, the trust cash payments. So we won't find things like telephone or water and electricity for the business in here. We won't find it here. Date, EFT number, the details, the more you can give, the better, because you need to trace it back to why you paid this transaction. You know, if the auditors come and ask you, the more you have in there, the better. The more references you can add in these columns, it will help you should you go back and find the original reason for doing this payment. The folio number, this is a number for the client that you have, a separate account. Your sundries, as I said, there won't be a lot in here. Your trust creditors control, that is the way you receive payments. So this is when you pay something on behalf of the client. For instance, as I said previously, you have to pay water and electricity on behalf of a client for him to get his property registered. It will go through there. And then this is you use when you transfer to your business bank account. You show it in here and the total. Okay, let's have, this is now a summary just from the study material so that you can just see it there. There we have the VAT columns as well, as you asked about. Remember the headings, you just learn them. You've got the date, the documents, the details. We didn't put any folios in there, but you need to put it in. Capital might be N10. Your clients will be C1 or D1 and D10 because they're clients. And the same here, you can put in almost like fake numbers to show that you know it needs to go to different accounts. But if you've got, say, 2 salaries in this section, they need to go to the same folio number. Just always keep that in mind, the practical things that will help you to score marks in the exam. There's no VAT on salaries, as we've discussed previously. And all the others you take out the VAT if applicable. There's no VAT on these receipts. Why not? The VAT was already charged when we did the fees journal. So we're not duplicating the VAT. This is only the cash received for the balance on the account. Stephen? Stephen, just unmute yourself. Stephen, are you there? The next one, I don't know, is it how do you pronounce it? Racheti?
Racheti. Where do we find folio numbers?
The folio number, you can just generate it yourself.
Then how do we know that it is a C or D?
It is?
C or D.
How do we know it's a C or a D? As long as you have, I think I mentioned it yesterday, where was it? It was on these slides. Sorry, I'm just jumping around now. There you can see your fees, your clients are usually Ds or Cs. It's just your client C, so you can have a C or a debtor as a D, as long as you use the same codes or folios for, where is it now? The same folio numbers for your clients. So that the marker of your paper can see that you know this needs to go to the same type of account. But we won't penalize you that much. It's just, it must make sense to you. So all your salaries needs to go to the same folio number. All your telephone needs to go to another folio number. Okay, Stephen, are you there now? Yes?
Yes, ma'am. Can you hear me now?
Yes, now I can
hear you. Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
All right. I just wanted to know, ma'am, how is the exam format going? Our exam going to be? Is it an open book, a closed book, or is it a form of quizzes?
It's definitely not an open book. Antoinette, can you assist there?
Yes. We can unfortunately not share now so much information, since we are also a bit in the dark. The structure that we're using this semester is the first time we're using it, but you can expect it will be proxied with the Moodle proxying, and then I'm not sure yet about how many hours you'll have, but it will be similar to your tests assignments, but it can also be long questions that you need to complete, but you will do that online. So you must please take note of the different types of questions. The fill in, those that you use with the drop down arrow that we call embedded close questions, and so forth. So no, don't worry. I see the expression. Did I answer your question for now?
All right, now it's answered.
I hope so.
While you're still there, ma'am, can I ask, is the test the exam, or the test is the test, then there's an exam after?
Yes, there's an exam after. So the 2 tests, we just call the time tests, but thereafter you will have a normal May-June exam like I just explained.
Okay, ma'am, would it be an MCQ? as well. Would it be infused with the long questions and MCQ?
It will be mostly infused with long questions.
Ma'am,
Okay.
are we allowed to use a paper so we can write down our calculations, or can we use Excel or what?
Preferably not Excel. Can you please rather use a piece of scrap paper and your calculator that you can keep in front of you? Because I also tested now the Moodle proctoring for the first time this week, and it takes photos every few minutes or so, and it records. So make sure your cell phones is off, not like me. I forgot to put it off and so on. So no, it will be, like I said, long type questions, and we will still make all the information available to you as soon as we also have the dates that we hope to get in the middle of May. Hopefully the second week or so. But we will immediately notify you so that you can also plan. So you can, with the proctoring tool, use a paper
Can I ask,
and a
after writing our
calculator.
test, would you guys create a revision class for us?
Yes, there's a schedule with a lot of revision classes that we will post, like we're doing now weekly, that you can see the classes and the links to the classes.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Okay, it's a pleasure. I'm glad I'm getting a clap of hands this
is
time.
it mandatory?
What?
Is it mandatory that we complete the second test?
No. Test 5 is a elective, like we call it, for test 4. So if you can't do test 4, you can do test 5. If you want to improve your mark that you got in test 4, you can also attempt test 5. So I would personally do both to see if you can get a better mark or not. So it will just be either test 4 or 5, the one with the biggest pass rate. Oh, sorry for that. With the biggest percentage will count towards your year mark.
All right. Thank you.
Pleasure.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yes.
Okay. Let's just take it step by step. Sorry, Stephen, do you still have questions? Stephen, are you sorted? Is that an old hand?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, okay. I'm sorted. Thank you very much.
Okay. The next one is, I don't know how to present Uhuni. Can you just unmute yourself?
I want to make a suggestion, if that's fine with everyone. Rather send us a SMS. Ooh, I must go and sleep. And announce, email.
On the chat box.
Or on the chat box, yes. Or send us an email. But like I said, unfortunately, we have limited information currently, and Monday we will post a proper announcement with all the information about assignment 3. Apologies for not posting it already. We are waiting for ICT to also finish from their side with the assignment on Monday morning. So yeah, please rather post it in the chat, I think, to save some time, and also send us an email to the fac1503@unisa.ac.za email address. And I also just want to ask you kindly to rather not message me or the other lecturers in the chat on Moodle. We prefer to rather keep record via email, please. And yeah, also not directly to the lecturers. Okay, thank you everyone. You can post on the chat then or email us. Thank you, Annelien. You can go ahead.
Okay, let's carry on. And if there are still questions related to the presentation, I'll answer that later. Otherwise, we can just send. Otherwise, you can just send an email, as Antoinette has explained. Okay. Let's go to the fees. Fees journal I have explained to you now previously. I think everything there is sorted out. And then we've got the general journal. Let me just think what I had in here. A South, this is what we need to record. A South takes stationery for its own use. We need to capture that because it doesn't fit in the cash receipts or the cash payments journals, and it doesn't fit into the fees journal. So we need to capture it in the general journal. So remember, from the EBL transactions, we debit drawings, 920. We credit stationery with the cost excluding the VAT, and we credit output VAT or VAT control. Okay, and remember your description of why you have this journal entry. Stationery taken by the owner for personal use. There's no, how can I say, precise description that you need to put in here. It needs to be clear to say that why you had this journal entry. Remember, if the auditors come to you one day and say to you, why did you have this? You need to be able to go back and say, oh, yeah, now remember, the owner, Mr. A.S., or the partner, Mr. A. South, took stationery for his own use, and that is why I had this journal entry. And I say now, seeming that you might be an accountant for an audit, for a law firm, but that doesn't matter. If you are going the law route itself and become a partner, you would like to go to your accountant and say, but why is this? Why did you do this journal entry? Why did you do this? So that then you need to see why the lady captured this journal entry. So it's not seeming that you will do it yourself, but as a lawyer, you would like to know what's going on in your financial accounts, and then you will need to see this description of the journal. You want to know that everything is kosher in your books. On the 20th, you purchase a cash register on credit from PC Electronics, and that's the amount. So we've got the 20th. We bought computer hardware or computer equipment. The amount excluding VAT is 85. The VAT control, the input VAT, is 1275. And in your creditors control or your accounts payable, PC Electronics, 9,775. And again, we use a good description, cash register purchase on credit, so that you know where it's coming from. I saw that there were questions. Let me just see, what are the sundries account for? I assume that's on the previous slide. Sundries we use for anything that does not fit. Was it this slide? Sundries is always used for things that's not in the normal trade of the business. So in this case, if you receive capital, it will go under sundries as it doesn't form part of the clients. The same here. In the payments journal, payments, everything will basically go on the sundries because you only have one of these every month. You won't have a lot of salaries. You won't have a lot of insurance. So we don't open separate columns for each of these. We post everything under sundries. Okay, I hope that helps you. Okay. On the 31st, depreciation on the delivery vehicles, 10,000 Rand. Remember, the journal entry for depreciation is always debit depreciation, credit accumulated depreciation, and in this case, it's delivery vehicles. Those are the specific accounts, your date and your reason you make provision for depreciation. Now, if we can just look at these folio numbers, just again trying to assist you with this. Your B is your almost like your business accounts, the general journal. Your stationery is a nominal account, so that's part of your income and expenses. That's why it's an N. All of these, again, are your business transactions, your normal transactions in your general ledger. That's why we can use a B account there. And this can be B10 and B5 or B. So the number isn't that important. It's for us for you to see that the N is for the nominal accounts or the income and expense items, and your B accounts are for your general ledger, your business transactions, or I don't know why it's a B, Antoinette. Where does it come from? I think about barters, but that's not the reason.
Yes, it's basically it's your assets that goes to your statement of financial position.
Okay, so that is all your B accounts. The main thing is that you'll show your normal expenses as nominal accounts, N's, and your clients, we said we can use either C or D, but it's important in a sense to allocate the letter, the alphabetic letter itself in the correct format, or use B and N where applicable. And then this slide, I want to take you through a question. I want you to grab a piece of paper and a pen. Let me just see if I can open this. And I want you to do a T account with me. Let's see if I can share this with you. Can you all see the T account on the slide?
Yes, we can.
The business bank account. Can you all see it? Good.
Yes. Annelien, I apologize again for interrupting. I just want to make you and the students aware, we are unfortunately without electricity. So if I cut out, it means my laptop's battery died. And may I ask then that you just stop the recording if I'm not still in? Thank you.
Okay, no problem. No problem. Okay, let's do that. Let me just take that one question. Flora, is there a question related to my presentation?
Oh, hi, ma'am. Yeah, it was regarding the folio column. So I want to understand, is it necessary? Do I need to know where the B is from, or the N is from, or the D is from?
Yeah, that is important so that we as a marker can see that B goes to the assets and liabilities accounts and equity. It goes to the no, not the equity. It goes to the assets and liabilities account, and your income and expenses go to N, the nominal accounts, N for November. And then the C's and the D's we would use for your clients' controls, your clients' accounts. So if you can just make a note of that, that's very straightforward. Your B's are for assets and liabilities. If you've got equity things like income and expenses, we will use an N for that for November. And if we have clients in a client's control account, we will use C or D. I think mostly D. I think that is what I pick up from the study material. So just make a note of it. Shouldn't be that tricky.
You said N is for what? Equity?
For equity, yeah. For anything assets, sorry. For income and expenses, we use N.
Okay, thank you so much.
Okay. And that's it. Right, let's go back to this T account. Did you all now draw yourself a short T account? Okay, so now I'm going to give you information. Where are we? Flora, is that an old hand? Okay, I'm going to give you information and I want you to plot it in the business bank account. Okay, I really want you to work with me on this. Now let's assume this is now an exam question, and the question asks you to capture the following transactions in the business bank account. So what you do first, you open your T account. You open your T account. That's why we call it a T account. It looks like a T. You put in the name business bank account. It's straightforward. It's easy, but you do it because that's what we want to see. On this side, you will put debit to show us this is your debit side. And on this side, you will put in credit. All right? Straightforward. You just do it. You score your marks. Then we open the columns. Remember, I told you, you learn this off by heart. We put in date. What's next?
Document.
Details.
Details. It's not a fees journal. It's a bank account. So we put in details. Then comes the folio and the amount. Okay? Are you still with me on this?
Yes.
And the other side, we do the same on the credit side. We write in date, details, folio, and amount. Happy? Okay, so you still doing straightforward things. You put in your rand sign because we're not working in dollars. So you put in your rand sign, and there you have now already almost completed the top section of your business bank account. Right. Now let's try the first transaction. On the 1st of February, what is it? SA Attorney's partner deposited 130,000 Rand in the business bank account. Let's think about it. What's happening? The owner, the partner, deposited 130,000 Rand in the business bank account. What side will it be? It's money coming in.
Debit.
Debit side.
Everybody happy with the debit side?
Yes.
Okay, so we said it is on the 1st of February. And I hope that this works now on my side. Yes, it does. On the 1st of February. What is the details? What will we call that?
Owner's equity.
It's capital.
We can call it owner's contribution or what, but the best term to use is capital.
Yes.
Capital, okay. Right, what folio will we use?
N1.
NC or
N1.
No, it's not equity. It's a well, it is equity, but we'll usually call it sorry, now I'm confusing myself even.
Yes.
It can't be an N because N is income and expenses.
So it
This
will
is a
be
B. Oh yeah, sorry, not there. It will be B. Let's just make it B100. Okay. The amount 130,000. Everybody agree on that?
Yes.
Is that you all have it in your books?
I'm confused by
why are you confused?
By the choice of folio. I thought you said N is income, isn't it?
Yes.
The capital owner's contribution income into the bank business.
Yeah, but it's not income in like a fee. It's income just in your bank account. It's a deposit in your bank account. Let me say it like that. It's not something that you can. It's not an income like a fee that you charge to your clients. This is a capital contribution. So it's the business starts and the partner deposits this amount in the business to get it going. So it's not a taxable income as per se. It's just income to top up the bank account so that the business can start. That's why we call it B.
Thank you.
Is it clear? Is it clear to you?
Yes.
Just remember always any capital contribution by partners, it's never an income like a fee. It is income in the business, but we call it B because it's capital. It's a contribution by a partner. Okay, can I carry on? Lenontha? Why do you have these difficult names? It must just be like me, Annalene. It's straightforward.
Our languages are not.
I know your language. And I'm not a language person. I'm very sorry if I pronounce your names incorrect. I'm not. I'm a numbers person. I can't say I hate languages, but I'm very bad with languages. I can't remember verbs and oh no, I'm just bad with languages. So apologies. Okay, who was that? Who had a question?
Ma'am, I was gonna ask, ma'am, where did we get the amount in the folio, ma'am?
The folio, we just thumb suck it. I just said B as it needs to be a B, and the 100 are just some thumb suck. So you can have B1 in your business bank account. The 130 I gave to you in the information I gave you. It's just an example. I'm just trying for you to do a bit of paperwork on your side.
Thank you.
Okay, right. Let's take the next transaction. We buy equipment from Makro, and we paid cash for it, 100,000 Rand. That's on the 6th of February.
How much? 100,000 you said?
100,000 equipment. We bought cash from Makro. What will be the entry?
Debit your equipment.
Credit side.
Okay. Remember what I previously told you, always think from the business bank account side first, because that makes sense. If you pay for something, it needs to go on the credit side. It's an outflow of money, and you will debit equipment. Okay. Because I heard somebody said equipment debit. That's 100% correct. But I would have liked you to say first credit business bank account, because then it makes sense to you always. Think from this account. If money comes in, it needs to be on the debit side, and you will have to credit the other account. If you pay something, you will credit the bank and you will debit the other account. Always start with thinking from the bank account if you struggle with debits and credits. Okay, so let's capture this one. On the 6th of February, we purchase equipment from Makro for 100,000 Rand. What is the details?
Equipment.
Pardon?
Bank.
Equipment.
Whatever you bought.
It means
you can say equipment, computer, whatever, but it doesn't really matter. You can even say Makro equipment, as long as you don't say bank account. The details need to be different. And what folio will we use?
N.
No, not N. It's not an expense. It's an asset. It's an asset. You will keep that equipment for a long period of time.
It's a B, ma'am.
Yeah, it's a B. Your N's are for short-term income and expenses. Your equipment is never short-term.
Yes.
Somebody is not muted, please. Mute yourself. Okay, are you with me? Equipment is like a B, but your depreciation will be an N, because that's a yearly transaction or an annual transaction. But your equipment, when you buy it, it's for a long period of time, so it will be a B account. Okay, everybody's still okay on that? What did I do here? It's on the 6th. Okay.
Hi, ma'am. Before you continue, sorry, I'm a little lost with this bees thing on the FOL, the fall. I'm not sure.
Okay, let me just say, B equals assets and liabilities. Okay, so we use B for that. We use N for income and expense items. Okay, and we use, what did we say, D, hey, for clients. Will that help you?
And for nominal?
Nominal is income and expenses, N. And just keep this next to your assignments or when you work through the study material and see if this is correct. I mean, apologies, I haven't done the study material myself. I haven't written that or compiled that. So just check if you can use this. But I think from what I picked up from the study material, this is what they use for those folios. The number that you add, it's thumbs up. You know, you can use, if the question doesn't give you the exact folio number, you can use any number, but as long as the letter that you use is in line with that. Okay, I hope that will help you. Who's got there? Virginia, you still have a question?
Please, I do. I'm sorry, but if you don't mind, can you just go back to how we got to equipment on the credit side?
Okay, money's going out. We bought equipment for cash from Makro. So the word cash was in the question. So if we buy something cash, we use the money in the bank. So we have to credit the bank account. It's going out of the bank account. Credit a bank, debit equipment.
Okay, sorry, ma'am. Another question with regards to the business account. So we do not apply the principle of duality here, like the principle that says for every debit entry there must be a corresponding credit entry. So we just record the money that went into the bank account and the money that went out.
No, you will do the double entry. I haven't. Let me just see. I haven't done it in the question itself. Let me see if I can quickly do it. I'm just going to give you one example. So if you have a bank credit, then you will have equipment account.
Debited.
Debit. Yeah, sorry, it's now not as 100% nice and as the other one. There you will have it. You will have it there. Let me put it there. You will have 2025. So you will have the double entry on the 6th of February. And you will say bank. And your folio, I don't have space now for that folio. I'm just going to put it there. You can say bank might be B1. You will put it in there. It doesn't pick it up nicely. No, where can I put it? There you go. Can you see it now? So that is the debit and credit entries. I'm just basically for now doing the business bank account. But all of these, you will have a capital account or also as a T account, which you will credit with 130,000. The entry will be bank, your folio will be B1, and you've got the date. Does that make sense?
Can I ask?
Yes.
Meaning now as we're doing a business bank account, we just filling in what should be debited and what should be credited, right?
Yes,
and then
yes.
After we're going to do another T account to make a double entry system for.
No, it's I might confuse you now. Sorry about that. It's always double entry immediately. When you do books, how do I get now rid of this? We always do double entry. I just put, okay, let me put it in there. So we will have capital in here with the same headings. Okay, debit, credits, all of that. You will open the T account properly in your books. You will have debit, credit. You will have date, details, folio amount. Date, details, folio amount. So you will have everything, credit, debit, did I say that? Debit, credit. And then when you say, you say the 2025, 1st February capital, B100, 130,000. You will even have this to say capital B100. You can even have that now when you do the double account, B200. So you debited the bank and you will credit capital with the 130,000. So you will definitely have to do the 2 entries. The same with the equipment. We bought equipment on cash, we credit the account, and we debit the equipment account. Is that clear to you?
Yes.
Okay, Siyanda?
I'm not sure how to address you. I don't like assuming that people are comfortable by ma'am. Is ma'am okay for you?
Pardon?
I'm not sure how to address you. So I hear everyone is saying.
Yeah, ma'am. I've been named teacher and auntie and anything in life in at Unisa, so I don't mind. You can even call me Annelie. Siyanda, what's your question? Siyanda? New? No, they all left. They all left. Okay, let's try the next one.
Hello.
You're new.
I wanted to find out, ma'am, I think you made a mistake with regards to the equipment account with regards to the folio. Isn't supposed to be B200? Because
yeah, it is B200. B1 is my bank account's folio number.
Oh, okay. All right then.
Okay.
Thank you.
Can you see the link between them? I'm going to put here bank as well so that you can see it. B1.
All right then.
Okay, so this tells me where the debit is. It's in account B1.
Okay.
This tells me where the credit is. It's in B10, B100. The same on this side. Where can I find this debit? In B200. That's where I will find it. Where will I find the bank? It's in B1 in the bank account. So the folio is there for you to trace the debit and the credit. It's like a reference. You know, where can I find this? Okay, Khutsu? Just unmute yourself, Khutsu. Old hand, Ella?
Oh, hi, ma'am. My screen isn't displaying anything. It just shows only VA. I can't see whatever that you are doing.
Which one? The capital?
My screen isn't displaying anything. It just shows VA. I think it's Van Rijn and Elaine. That's it.
What are everybody else seeing the T accounts?
We're seeing everything.
I think you must just go out of this and lock in again. Lock out and lock in and see if that changes. Okay, So let's go to the next transaction. This is recorded anyway, so you should see it when you look at the video later on, hopefully. So let's take the next one. The business received 28,000 Rand from Mr. Enatal on the 28th of February. What side of the business? As I said, we always think from the business side first. Business bank account first.
Debit.
The debit side.
Debit. Okay, so on the 28th of February, what will we call this details?
Client's control.
It's income received.
It's not income received, no.
Right.
It's client's control. Client's control, okay, because Enatal is a client of ours.
All right.
Okay, it's an asset because client is an asset for us. So let's call this B105, for instance. Okay, and I said the amount was 28,000. Everybody happy with that?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Can I show the client? Yeah.
Please. On the double entry.
Yeah.
Are we not going to edit capital? We edit on do you have to have a client ledger as well?
Yeah. I'm doing that now so that you can see. Can you see on the screen here? Can you all see it here? Is it still visible on your side?
Yes.
This side, okay. So we debited the bank. Sorry about the fonts and all of that now. We have a client's control account. The number is 105. We debited the bank and we will credit the client's control on the 28th. I don't know if I've got space for all of that, but let's see. My other account that I used was bank. Let me just put in there B1. What is it? B1. And the amount is 28,000. Okay, so immediately we do the debit and the credit. Am I confusing you? No.
Ma'am, I'm a bit confused.
I'm lost.
On the
totally lost.
POL, how can it be a B while you said client and everything is D?
Okay. That's a good question because let me take it now further. In our, how can I say it? In my separate clients' accounts. Okay, let me try this. What did I say was his name? Enatal, hey?
Yeah.
I think that's what I called him. And let's say his account number is D6. Okay. In the individual client account, we will also have that entry. Bank. 28,000. This is my client's control account. And this is my individual client's account. Can you see it? So whatever happens on your client's control account needs to happen on individual accounts as well.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
So I'm not sure if what you've just demonstrated answered the question because my hand was up for the very same question. You said that D is for clients, but now you've used B for this particular client. But my second question is, do we get penalized for the folios? Because I think it's a bit confusing. Or are we given the folio numbers in an exam?
I don't think you're given the folio numbers. I don't think so. And that's why I gave you, this is why I gave you this at the top. I want you to just go and check if you can apply this principle when you do some of the examples in your study material. Because I think this will guide you in a sense to which letter to use. Remember, I said for the clients, you'd use the D. So in this case, I made a D6.
Oh, for the individual. So he's an individual.
Yes.
Why are you using D6?
Yes.
But because client
let me put the individual accounts. Let me put that in there.
Okay. So because client control is a business account, that's why you use B.
B, yeah. It's an asset for the business, our client control. So that's why we use a B there.
So, ma'am, meaning in the business bank account and the client control bank ledger, we're using B because it's an asset. And then when we record on the client's individual thing, we're gonna use an N.
A D.
A D, a D.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Sorry, ma'am, I wanted to confirm something. So the client's account increases on the credit side?
Decreases, because remember now, Natal paid us money, so his account decreases. He paid, we can say that he owed us 100,000 Rand, and now he paid 28,000 of this.
Oh, okay. Okay, I get it. Thank you.
I can put in here balance, but I don't want to confuse you now. Let's put in balance there, 100,000, but this is not necessarily part of the question, okay? That was the balance on his account. So now he paid us 28,000, so we decrease his account with the 28,000. Does that make sense?
So, ma'am, yes, I understand.
Okay. Right. Remember now that, and this, I'll put it in red so that you can see the difference. But it's because I'm only doing a small section of everything. I'm going to put the balance 300,000. Let me put, so I don't want to, let me move this up. So if we have, for instance, only 2 clients, let's assume we only have 2 clients in this business. And this might be S South, for instance, and his number is D8. What is that? It must be 300. I want it in there. Okay. Can you see now my client's control account, that the money that my clients owe me is 300,000. And that belongs to 200,000 to S South, which I spelled totally wrong, and 100,000 owed by Natal. So these things must always balance. That 300 is made up of these 2. Okay. Whatever goes in there must go into a account. And you see, it needs to balance.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm going to try and do this as well so that you can see that these are, I don't know if this is now the right thing that I want to use. These are separate accounts. and they add to the total in the client's control account. This is not part of your general ledger. This is just your client's accounts. Your general ledger, the B accounts, are separate. That's why they have Bs, and these ones then have the D, because it's different separate accounts. Okay, I'm nearly done. I'm nearly done with that. You're okay with me now? Does it make more sense?
Yes.
The balance, I just thumbsuck the balances in red. That's why I put it in red for just an example. I just want you to see that this must equal that, the separate accounts. So if I put something on that side, I also need to put it in one of these two accounts. Whatever I do on the control account, I need to do it in the individual accounts as well. Okay. Let's do one on the 16th of February. We pay salaries to the bookkeeper, 20,000 Rand. Where will we go with that? What happens in the bank account?
We credit.
You credit the
We
bank
credit,
account.
the money is going out of the business. So we will have 16 February. We will say salaries. Agree? You must stop me when I'm wrong. What is it, a B or an N?
A B.
A B.
It's an N.
An
N.
N. It's an N. It's
It's a W.
expense.
It's an expense.
It's an expense, so it's N. Okay? And the amount is 20,000 Rand. Okay? Then we receive interest on the bank account from the bank. The bank gives us interest. On what side will this go?
Debit.
Debit.
Debit. Why? The money will increase in our bank account. Okay, everybody happy? Stop me when you're not with me. We will say interest received. You can even say bank interest so that it's even more clear. Bank interest. Is it an N or a B?
N.
N.
N, because it's income.
Oh.
Let's make it 200. And let's assume the money is, say, 2,000 Rand. Okay? Everybody still with me?
Yes.
Okay, so now let's assume this is now all the transactions for the month in the business bank account. Now I want you to show you how to calculate the balances. You take your calculator and you add up those there on that side. And you just do it roughly. You can even take a pencil and just write it in there for yourself. I'm going to make it blue because I'm going to take it out later. And you do the same on this side. You add it up. Okay. Now you can see that your debit side is more than your credit side. Okay. So where's something missing? Something is missing on this side to make it equal. Are you with me?
Yes.
So we need, what do we need there to make it equal?
40,000.
40,000 Rand.
Excuse me,
Yeah.
ma'am. There's someone with the music at the background. Can they please mute themselves?
So they're partying already. Who's having a party? Thank you. It's not time for parties yet. Okay, so are you with me on the 40,000? Everybody clear? We need to get these pencil. Let's make sure it's pencil. Get them in line to make them equal. So the balancing there was 40,000. Now the sides are even. Now we can type or write in there 160,000 because they are now equal.
Wait, ma'am. Ma'am, what do we call this 40,000 rands now?
Okay, I'm going to the entry. Relax. I'm getting there.
That's
this is what we call at the end of the month. Just mute yourself, everybody. At the end of the month, we will say balance.
Carried down.
And we will say carried down. We are carrying it down to this side.
Balance brought down.
So, ma'am, can I ask, meaning the carried amount, it will be the opening of our bank account, business bank account for the next month?
Yes, yes, you can see there on the 1st of March, the next month, that is our balance that we start with this month. It's 40,000. It comes from there, and it was brought down from that side or from that month. So always you carry it down, and it was brought down.
Okay.
Okay.
So, ma'am, every amount that is carried down it's only debited, not credited, right?
No. It can be on the other side as well. It can be on the other side.
Okay.
If you have a bank overdraft, it will be that your carried down will go in here, and your brought down will go in that side.
Ma'am, how did you get the 40,000 rand?
Okay, let's go back again. Okay, one more. You add up this on both sides. You add it up. You can see that this side needs 40,000 to be equal to that side. And then we add the 40,000 in there. Now it's equal. And now we can type it in there as the totals, because we first need to find on what side that needs to go. Is it a debit or a credit? And then we take it from there forward. Is that clear to you now?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Not yet. Where does the 40,000 come from?
It's the difference.
Or the difference between the two numbers?
Yes.
Between the two totals. Oh, okay.
Yeah. Okay. And you see 160 minus 120 is 40.
Okay. Oh, yeah.
Ma'am, I do understand that you are saying it's the difference, but let's say we are doing this as you are an attorney and you are doing this at your office. So I feel like there has to be some like tangible evidence as to where this 40,000 comes from. I don't know. You just the difference in J, and that's it.
Okay. Now let's take it even a step further back. Remember when we did the bank reconciliations? Can you remember that? That 40,000 will be the 40,000 that shows on your bank statement as money in the bank. On the bank statement that we receive from Nedbank or Capitec, that will show that we have 40,000 in the bank. And that is why this is the same. This is our balance. So that is your reconciliation to check if you're on the right track. To see, okay, I've got 40,000 as being brought down. I just want to see if I can move forward again. I don't think so. You will check and see, okay, this is now, I agree with what is in my bank statement or on my bank statement. Carried down, okay, and we've got 160 here, just to make it nice and neat, and do it. If you do it in your assignments or your exam, you will score marks for this, because this is how it works in practice. And you will have 1st of March, balance, brought down, 40,000. And you will check to see if this now balances with your bank statement when you do the bank reconciliation. Okay, let's try for Numpo Melelo. Numpo, let me just call you Numpo.
It's okay. Hi, sorry to take you back. Can you kindly please repeat the transaction that happened on the entry that you made on the 16th of February? Sorry, 28th of February.
Which one? The clients? Or which one?
I kind of not understand or follow on the transaction that you made there on the entry that you made under the debit side on the transaction with full number and 200, the bank interest.
The bank interest.
Yes.
Okay. So we saw now on our bank statement, when we received the bank statement, we saw that, okay, we received interest on our money in the bank. So the money in the bank increased with the bank interest that we earned. We use an N because it's income for the business. We use N and it's 2,000 Rand. And then what we will do, if I've got some more space somewhere down here, we will credit the interest receive account. Let me just see if I can copy something here. It's just easier and quicker. So we will credit bank interest. The folio numbers in 200, and we will say bank B1, and we will type in there 2,000 Rand. Oh. Does that make sense now to you?
Yes, it does, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay. Who's next? Lebogang.
Thank you, ma'am. Ma'am, I just wanted to clarify the question that people have. Where does the 40,000 come from? I think in simple terms, it's our income is more than our debit side is more than our credit side.
That's so better to say debit and credit. Yes.
Yes. We subtract the credit from the debit because then we have more by 40,000. That is where the 40,000 is coming from. But we record it on the credit side so that it can balance the equation.
Yeah. Yes.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, so it's just steps that you need to follow when you want to balance an account. You always need to, as I say, you take a pencil or a piece of paper and you write down the 160 that you got when you added this side, and you add this up, you get 120, and that is rough work. So it's in pencil or on piece of paper. You check the difference, you see what's missing on what side. In this case, we needed 40,000 on the credit side to make this account balance. And that 40 then is carried down to this side where it is brought forward. Mpho, you've got another question?
Oh, no, sorry, I forgot to lower my hand.
Okay, old hand. Siyanda, are you also done or you've got another question?
No, ma'am. Lebogang already explained because I wanted to help.
Okay. Is that clear to you now as well? Okay. Refilwe?
Yes, ma'am. I wanted to ask in terms of client controls account. Do we always have to open 3 accounts when we are dealing with client control?
It all depends on how many clients you've got. In this example, I only had 2 to make it easy. You can have 100, you can have 1,000 clients. as long as you can see the principle that the client's control account needs to equal whatever you have on the individual accounts.
Oh, all right. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions for now? I think what I want you to do this, if possible, this weekend, because I've got the next class on Monday evening at 7 for the second part of the general ledgers, etc. So I want you to just work through some of the examples in your Unit 5 and see if you can apply these principles and see if you can balance some of the accounts, etc. So that if you have more questions, we can sort them out on Monday evening, if that is okay with you. Okay, that's all I have for today. I think that's enough for you to go and think about and do practice some of that, and so that you can ask me some more questions on Monday evening in this regard.
Ma'am? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Pleasure. It's a big pleasure. I'm trying to really make you understand this. I know you don't like accounting because you want to become lawyers, but always, always remember you are entrusted with trust money. You need to know
whoever came with the
happening.
idea for us to do this.
Pardon?
Whoever came with the idea that as lawyers we need this action.
It's very important. I want
We
you
will
to know.
outsource the function, ma'am. We will outsource.
I know. Now just quiet for a bit. I know you will
How about
outsource it.
outsourcing the function?
Wait, guys, wait.
Just listen. Just listen for now. I know you will outsource it. I know you will get a good bookkeeper to help you do your books. But you as a lawyer are entrusted with trust money. And if your bookkeeper or your outsourced person steals money from your accounts, you will be liable. You will be locked up. So that it is why it's so important for you as lawyers to understand what's happening in your accounts. Always keep that in mind. You can't be a lawyer without having these skills and this knowledge. Just always keep that in mind. You can't do a lawyer practice without knowing how trust money works.
True that, ma'am.
You outsource once you know the fundamentals.
Well, even if you outsource, you need to check. If the auditors come to you and say, what happened with this transaction on the 20th of February?
Yes,
and you can't reason it out. You need to reason it out and make sure that your accountant or your outsourced firm did it correctly. You are responsible for that money.
I'm saying you outsource once you know the fundamentals. So I agree with you.
Yeah. Yes. No, it is. As I say, you always, it's so important, and not only for lawyer firms, it's also good for your own private funds. What is coming out of my income in my bank account? What's going out? You need to know the basics. And what we're teaching you in this module is basic, but it's very related to law firms. And I can't stress it enough. If you're out there in practice, you will see how strict the lawyers are on those trust monies. And I'm sure you've read more than once in the newspapers that some lawyers use their trust money for something personal and they were just put in jail. You're not allowed to do it.
Yeah.
So that is why it's so important for you to understand the reason for having to pass this module, to be a good, compliant lawyer one day. That is what we want you to be.
Absolutely. Ma'am, don't forget the recording.
Ma'am, I wanted to ask in the matter of the exam or test, are we going to get ledgers the very same way we got them? The very same way we got them on our exercise here, on our
I'm sorry, I don't know. I don't think the paper has been set yet. I'm only presenting the classes myself. As I said, I haven't done the study material. I wasn't part of that. And I don't think I will be part of setting the exam also. So I'm not sure if Antoinette at this stage knows how the exam will look, because as she said also previously, they're just waiting to get answers themselves. This is a new process for them this semester. So if they will give you T accounts, if you will have to draw it, I'm not sure. But I don't think that should be your problem. The problem should be what needs to go on the debit and the credit side. I think that is what, even if you just practice on a piece of paper and just do it so that you understand the concept, how you will have to give it back in the exam, we will have to see later on. I don't think there's answers as yet.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, let's take a break. See you on Monday evening.
Thank you,
And
ma'am.
I hope to see you all back again, because I don't want you to run away, but enjoy the rest of the weekend.
Thank you.
What time on Monday?
Take care. 7 o'clock Monday evening.
Okay.
7 o'clock
Please
Monday.
don't stop the recording.
I will stop the recording. Thank you, guys. Take care. Bye-bye. Bye.
La guys,
What's this?